The Disney stock is not hot, and while this channel gives no investing advice to anyone, folks, those are not our words, but actually the words of very credible individuals who lots of people listen to. We're going to talk about it today because it turns out Wall Street is worried that the Disney parks may not recover, and if that's baked into the Disney equation, people might be quivering at the thought of a Disney that cannot find its way back to huge success. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that tells the truth, capital T, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. The Hollyweirds can't stand it, we've got decades left to go, and we enjoy every single moment of it. By the way, thank you for clicking on the video. We love sharing time with you, and every opportunity to come into your day is an honor for us truly. Today we're talking about the Disney stock, and we're talking about the fact that now there's a real fear that Epic Universe, the Universal Studios expansion park, which will be the largest theme park in North America coming to Central Florida in 2025, well, it has a credible chance now of taking a huge chunk out of Disney's market share. And suddenly the company cares about Florida. Who would have thought? They hated the Sunshine State until just as of late. But it may be too late for Bob Iger, Josh D'Amaro, and the rest of the executives trying to keep the Disney stock rising up. They haven't done a good job lately. This is an unleavened Disney stock. We've got out of Market Watch as I try to get the Chiron ready to go. Here we go. It says Disney slowing park attendance will weigh on the stock for the next 12 to 18 months. Analysts say stock falls after Raymond James downgrades it to market perform from outperform. This is a very big deal. Jonas, since we're handling this live, can you pull up the Disney stock and have that ready to pull up on the screen in just a moment?
Absolutely, yeah.
It says Disney company stock fell 0.9% in pre-market trade Tuesday after Raymond James downgraded it to market perform from outperform and said a number of headwinds, notably its park division, will keep it range-bound for the next 12 to 18 months. This is a very long time, and this, by the way, relates back to the Epic Universe story we were just doing. Analysts Rick Prentice and Brent Pinter said feedback from 20 Disney superfans, travel agents, and local business owners, and as Disney confirmed on its third fiscal quarter earnings call, park attendance and pricing power is slowing meaningfully. Demand is moderating after a strong post-pandemic surge. Consumers are still digesting price increases taken in the past 4 years, and a questionable consumer outlook further complicates the picture. Lapping the slowdown in growth next summer, Disney is facing another big headwind with Universal, owned by Comcast, which is, by the way, up simultaneous 0.44%, launches its Epic Universe in Orlando and increases competition in Disney's biggest market. Jonas, do you have that ready for us? We'll go ahead and put this on the screen, folks. Disney currently down today 1.76%, 94.50, which is above the 90 mark. But remember that this is a company that was nearly at $200. Disney has dropped something like 60% in the last 3 years, but we're also just determined to be negative about this company. We have no rationale for having negative stories. It's down 60%, but you should pay no attention to that. Thus say the pixie dusters and the cupcakers. All of that said, there's this story out of the Hollywood Reporter that I think we need to touch on rather quickly, and that is it's another piece that says, as Disney plots $60 billion park investment, Josh D'Amaro, who's the head of Disney Parks and Experiences, wants to get this right. This is a very long piece, and I'm just going to scroll, folks. We're not going to read it. I want you to go read it, but we're not going to read it because it is so immense. And what it essentially comes down to is saying it's not Josh's fault. The parks are great, and he would be a strong contender for CEO. And I have a thought about this as it continues to scroll, and I will pause here. I want to read this to you. This is fascinating. Remember that Bob Chapek, one of his downfalls as CEO was that he was not part of the Hollywood intelligentsia, and therefore they didn't want him there. He wasn't in the club. He wasn't allowed to join the club. They wanted him kicked out of the club. D'Amaro, for this piece. These people are my friends. Jennifer Lee is my friend. She's just been ousted, by the way. Kevin Feige is my friend. We know one another. We're spending a lot of time together. D'Amaro says, framing the internal conversations about where to put the resources as a bit of an art and a science. Now, it will also make about one sentence of saying, hey, this Tom Sawyer Island Rivers of America change is hugely unpopular. Hey, when it showed that they were going to destroy Muppet Vision, that was hugely unpopular. It says these experiential investments can only generate compelling returns if they leverage popular and relevant IP. No! As Disney investors prepare to underwrite a rising capital spending outlook, confidence in the returns available is anchored in Disney's ability to continue to build new brands and franchises while injecting new life into existing IP. Basically, this is a giant puff piece that defends, and I mean it's giant, defends Josh D'Amaro from any kind of criticism, and claims that getting rid of these nostalgic and iconic parts of the parks and replacing them with cheap IP, that's what you got to do. You just got to do it.
Right.
But this piece came out just prior to this breaking news that Disney's slowing attendance will weigh on the stock market for half a year or to a year and a half. Guys, I think that what's happening here is I think they're preparing a parks defense. I think that if the election goes the way Disney does not want, then I think that that Dana Walden is no longer quite the illustrious CEO potential, and they're preparing to say D'Amaro could do it. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of a toss-up for all of them right now, because if you were going to disqualify anyone because they're running a failing division of Disney, well, then we're not getting an internal candidate at this point. I think that's very astute, Pro. I think that they have to... I think they've taken the temperature on what's going on with Dana Walden, especially from the fans, and there just seems to be a huge outcry of we do not want this lady as our CEO.
I think also looking at this piece from the Hollywood Reporter, I read through it this morning, and there's not a lot of new stuff in there. So for people who are following this all the time, it's almost a repeat. And I can't remember if it was the Hollywood Reporter that ran a story like this or if it was Deadline, but it's very obviously a puff piece that is meant to try to push Josh D'Amaro as the next candidate here, because there are other pieces that are saying that it's Dana Walden, and I think
that's because. But Jonas, do you think, and anybody else weigh in on this, that maybe it's their backup plan? If the election doesn't go the way they want, then Walden has really very little to offer. In fact, she might even be a negative CEO at that point in terms of value add. So they got to have a backup, and they don't have any backups. So maybe it could be D'Amaro. Maybe, and that's what this
nobody
is about.
that they can control, at least in my opinion. And I'm referring to
I think D'Amaro appears to be controllable.
I also don't think it's going to be a white man. I think that they're chomping at the bit to hold up the first female CEO of the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah, I'll also throw in here
Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh
no! Don't you speak that, Smash. You take that back.
But you put that.
It's going to be Agnes Chu. Yeah.
Where's Will?
Could you imagine?
Uses very good sources that tells me she is not getting renewed.
Wait a minute. Well, have you been reading that magazine, that 3-day-old magazine again, Tom?
It's my new contact over at Disney. I call him Sparrows.
God,
Sparrows with a Z.
Yeah.
Could you imagine though if she does get fails upward?
Oh my!
She can't any higher. I mean,
she can't fail much higher than just running a studio at this point. An actual studio.
You just watch. We'll see.
I've said that's not out of the realm of possibility, because that's the only place she has to go yet.
Now, I don't think it's going to be Kathleen Kennedy is the head of the United Nations. I'm blaming this all on Smash.
Oh Lord!
But can you even imagine how the gloves would come off if she actually did get promoted to head of Disney? I mean, she's pretty much protected by the media at this point. Every now and then there'll be something about a misstep here and there. I mean, there'll be these little spurts of maybe Kathleen Kennedy might be. Don't you want to leave, Kathy? Kind of things. There was a little bit of that around the time that Dial of Destiny came out. I think if she gets that top spot, I think that there are people in Hollywood who would be very interested in talking about her a lot more openly than they have in the past. The thing I was going to say about this Josh D'Amaro thing, they actually call the Rivers of America situation, where they're going to fill in the river in the middle of the park with concrete,
which is a terrible river.
Yeah,
terrible idea.
They call the response something like grumbling from fans, and that's about it. Like, ooh, that is a mischaracterization if I have ever heard one.
Yes, I would say that is making a molehill out of a mountain. How's that? Folks, that's the we've got the 5-year up just so you can see where Disney is. It's still down. If you were to look, it would be in the lower, 10% of where the stock has been. Back here's the Bob Chapek years. These are the Iger years. Not doing so well. They're looking for someone who can swell the stock. Dana Walden only brings a benefit if her bestie is the prez. And if not, well, she's already put ABC News in a bad light with the next potential rule maker. And so guess what? If you got to go with tomorrow, you got to start doing puff pieces, but that's going to be really hard to do when Disney is getting downgraded over the division that he runs. But Dana Walden know better because her side of things, her streaming side of things, they don't want you to talk about it, but there are 100 billion abouts in the hole. Helping Hollywood produce a product that you want to consume, that's what we do each and every day, folks. And this time, it's time to, well, say goodbye. We know, but don't cry. No, for we will have more videos on the way. We love to bring those videos and that information. And by the way, if you'd like even more, consider going to the Patreon page. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. It's where we put out stuff exclusively there that we simply can't put out in other places for whatever reason, be it because it's too spicy or because, well, perhaps we're working to corroborate it. But you can find out things early and first over there. Folks, we surely have had a great time spending time with you. Consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.